ও শুভ শুভ ও শুভ শুভ ও শুভ শুভ ও শুভ শুভ
सागरिका, पहले आप मुझे बताएं कैसे लग रहा है?
I'm so excited, actually.
It was a long, long journey before you got here.
Yes.
And tell me something. We noticed yesterday after the film was released and it got such fantastic reviews. You even had people flying in from miles away around the globe to support you. The Norwegian ambassador wrote an article in India's leading English language daily, where he made all kinds of statements supporting what Barnevernet had done to your family. How did you feel seeing the same response from Norway 10 years after you've proven yourself, you've shown yourself to be a good mother and shown the world how happy your children are with you? आपको कैसे लगा?
Actually, Rani Mukherjee is playing my character very beautifully. And I'm so excited. And when I'm just already have watched the film, I'm feeling so much, it is very much heart-wrenching. And as well as I'm feeling, I have lots of emotional bonding with my children. So all my past, all the memories are reviving in my mind.
So how did you feel when you had all these memories coming back? आपको ये सारी यादें आ रही थी और फिर पेपर
Yes.
में फिर से जैसे 10 साल पहले आपको जलील किया गया था पेपर्स में नॉर्वेजियन अथॉरिटीज़ ने
Yes.
फिर से वही बात आ रही थी नॉर्वे के एम्बेसडर से आपको कैसे लगा? आपको लगा कि ये एक फेमिनिस्ट कंट्री ऐसे कर सकती है?
Actually, still the unlawful practices of the child welfare still prevails, and they abducted the children from their families and always allege the parents, and always they will always allege the parents that and gave the fake allegation against of the parents.
तो मतलब वो कभी भी नहीं मानेंगे कि तुम एक अच्छी माँ हो और तुम्हारे बच्चे तुम्हारे साथ खुश है.
एक
बोलो.
बात मैं बोलूं, चोर कभी बोलते हैं कि मैं चोरी की चोरी किया है?
She asked, does a thief ever say that I have stolen something? Sagarika,
Stealer is always the stealers. So there is no other option.
सागरिका, मुझे बताएं, आपने इतना संघर्ष किया, आपने अपने बुरे वक्त को बहुत पीछे छोड़ दिया है, लेकिन आज भी उस कांड का असर क्या आपकी ज़िंदगी में है, आपके बच्चों की ज़िंदगी में है?
Yes, my son is suffering in terrible trauma. Still he is suffering in ADHD, and actually it's very difficult to cover up from all the traumas already.
Do you feel like the affectionate, joyous, happy boy who used to play around you in the park, in the same park that was actually shown in the movie? This is
Yes.
because mothers nowadays are constantly taking videos and photos of their children. So she unconsciously documented her time with her son. क्या आपको लगा कि वही बेटा आपको वापस मिला, कि बानवन के बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट केयर में उसको एकदम बदल गया और जो आपके पास आया वो आपका पहला बेटा नहीं था?
Yes, मेरा पहला बेटा वो नहीं था, क्योंकि जैसे उनके ऊपर जितना अब्यूज़ हुआ है, the foster parents and as well as my in-laws family was physically abused my children. So still he is suffering in trauma.
So the long shadow of the actions that were taken 10 years ago continue to live. Well, let's move on to a more cheerful. I have no doubt that Sagarika will surmount even these problems. She has infinite Shakti. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the second heroine of the evening, Ashima Chibber. Can we have her on there? There she is. Hi, Ashima. Ashima Chibber, the director of Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway. She is the one responsible for this movie. It was her eye that caught Sagarika's story, and it was she who approached Rani Mukherjee to do this film. Ashima, congratulations. What a powerful film. I watched it last night in a large group. Some of them are still here. And I was amazed to see the reaction of the people in the theatre. People were profoundly impressed with the way you had rendered Sagarika's story. What do you have to say about that?
Well, the story itself is the incident, and the happening itself was so shocking. It's so shocking for for when I heard it the first time, and I'm sure, and that was the kind of impact that I also wanted to create while making the film. That because when you hear something that has happened in real life, you don't hear exactly how it unfolded, but you make a version of it in your head as you're listening and the way it impacts you. So that impact I found so intense on me, which was my endeavor after I spoke to Sagarika to make the film that would be equally hard-hitting, because the incident itself is so hard-hitting. So I wanted to be true to what had happened and it impact the viewer that way.
Well, people were weeping and clapping and cheering at different points in the whole rendition. And you certainly managed to convey a very compelling dramatization of what occurred, which remained true to the spirit of Sagarika's story. That was what I was concerned about, having been so close to this case, all those years ago. And I congratulate you for the sensitivity and respect with which you have treated, a living human being story, especially one who has been so attacked and vilified in a time when she wasn't able to speak for herself. But I also want to tell you that we were at the cinema hall with our friends from Norway and the USA who had flown in particularly to show their solidarity for your film, even though it was showing in their own countries. And what was interesting, we were all sitting next to each other. And what was interesting is that as you were showing this story, they kept mentioning how this is also recognizable for them and how they have seen this kind of thing happen over and over again. And my colleagues and I also noticed references which you had interwoven into Devika Chatterjee's story from other stories, other families than Sagarika's who tried to flee Norway, who tried to find out about it. So how were you able to get such a good understanding of the system?
Well, the understanding of the system, of course, came after I had already followed Sagarika's story in the news when it first came out, and I found it pretty, confusing and also shocking, of course, that how can someone come into your house and take your children and just appropriate them, that okay, this belongs to us or this belongs to the state and you're no good. And being Indian and with all our mythology and our kind of upbringing, we have a way of looking at life, as the way a mother looks at a child or the way we look at mothers. And so it started from there. And then I started to research, as you peel the onion, you slowly realize that there is much more here than what meets the eye. And also, I'm not a lawyer, but it was very difficult for me to study so much law and read up on child rights and human rights. And I contacted through Sagarika a lot of human rights activists in Norway and people on Facebook and everything. So I did thorough research to know what.
So you actually had people from Norway contacting you and telling you about their system.
Yeah, or the other way around, because the people who were targets, especially, so I had, it was late at night that I used to, because of the time difference at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night, I used to be awake waiting for phone calls from people. I'm saying this because it took the effort to get, I wanted to get to the core of the problem, because the thing is that there are, my first duty I felt as a maker was to protect the children, because, we all make things and we move on. But I did not want to be counter to the concept of what I was planning to do. If we were trying to protect the children, then I wanted to be very sure that through the film, the children should not feel later on in their lives as they grow older, and, that the film was unfair, or, so I wanted to be careful about that. So I wanted to be sure what I'm doing and be very informed of everything and the dialogue and debate that's going on in Norway right now. And also to have my own point of view, because as a filmmaker, your opinion is why you make a film and why you express it. Yeah, so there was intense research that I did.
Very interesting, because it showed, in particular, in those two social workers. I mean, you had brilliant character actors in the whole film, but our favorite, and this includes for Connie and Marius, was those two social workers. They were so true to life. I mean, that was proof to me that you had really gone deep into this. I have actually I've seen hearings in the courts of the United Kingdom where the social workers are passing those same evil looks at each other and at the judge. And, I mean, they just don't care that there's actually a parent, and a child that's at stake over here. That was just brilliantly done. So great congratulations to all your actors, but especially to those two Estonian actresses. We love them.
I mean, they were with us when I narrated the story to them. They were just so moved that they started to cry when I was narrating. And because one of them had, I think her baby was 6 months, and the other one was pregnant while we were shooting. She was on her 4th child. So, and so I found it just amazing that these girls just were desperate to play these parts because they felt so strongly about the issue that we were dealing with. So they became pretty motivated.
Fantastic. And I have one last question. We saw yesterday that the Norwegian ambassador had actually admonished you for the film. And he then rushed to the papers to make all kinds of complaints about Norwegian attitudes to hand feeding and co-sleeping, which he says are very well accepted. But do you not feel that, I mean, he's ignoring the fact that your film is actually making a much larger comment on the ruthlessness and the arrogance of this system of child welfare?
Well, I mean, I don't know what I can say, because it's it's a very complicated thing for me to say. Of course, he's a educated, learned man. He's the ambassador, and he knows what he's saying. But ours is a creative expression of something we believe in, So I feel the dialogue should have been more at hand rather than a statement.
Yes, I have actually been waiting myself for a response from the Norwegian embassy. I have often gone outside alone and stood there and asked to speak to them, because I do believe that dialogue is the only way forward. And there is really no reason for this to be taken as a criticism of Norway. You can always have state agencies that function badly. And I mean, we in India know so much about that. So, well, I mean, all I can say is well done.
Thank you. And I also feel that in the film that, the Norway's point of view is well balanced by Daniel's character. And, I think we all parents believe in, child protection. If they are coming from any danger of violence or anything, of course the children need to be protected. And so the law is not wrong, but the thing is, when so much money is involved, it's a human condition for people to be or to become whatever they become.
Yes, they do say that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, congratulations. Congratulations to both of you. You killed it. Amazing. Well done.
Shubho, shubho.